Dhammang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinādana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinādana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramira majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramira veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Vikhala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Vikhala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Nacha gita vadita. Nacha gita vadita. Visukha dasana mala. Visukha dasana mala. Gandha vilepana dharana. Gandha vilepana dharana. Mandana vibhusa Dassanathana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Saranena Sadding Athanga Silang Dhammang Sadhukang Surakitang Katva Appamadena Sampaditabham. Okay. Maybe before I read this very important discourse, maybe we should try to settle our minds, calm our minds a bit. So let's sit in silence a few minutes. So sit comfortably, keep your back straight, head straight. And relax. Relax your body. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then exhale. And then let the breath settle into its natural rhythm. And then we stay with the breath. Be aware of the breath and stay with the breath. If any thoughts come to your mind from the past or the future, know that they are not real. Past is a dead past, it's only a mind-made thing in your mind. Future is so uncertain, it hasn't come yet, so it's only the fantasy that's going on in your mind. It's also mind-made. So don't just live in your own world, but live in the present moment, experiencing life. What's happening right now, here and now. All the activity that takes place is here and now. It's the breath that keeps you alive. So in this moment you are alive if the breath is taking place. If no breath, that means no longer the life can be supported. So you are going to be dead. So just stay and experience your life as it unfolds in this moment. And stay with the breath, that friend that keeps you alive. See how each and every moment is so fresh. It's you who decide to paint it with past or future, and then you start to get worried. The anxieties, the anger, the ill will, the desires will start to come. So let's not paint it. So consciously stay away from painting this fresh moment that unfolds right in front of you. stay focused with your breath and know whether that breath is an in-breath or an out-breath. Look at the breath in relation to your whole body and just stay with the breath. Let the breath take its own time to settle. You just relax and be with the breath. body and scan your body from toe to your head and see whether you could feel any tension. Can you feel any feelings, any sensations? If there's any discomfort, relax. And then slowly take a couple of deep breaths. And release. Relax. With the sound of the bell, you can open your eyes to end the meditation. Last night we were talking about whether things exist or not, or what. When we talk about this subject, whether things exist or not, or whether we exist or not, what is there and all that, we talk all that in relation to our sense experience. That we talk about whether things exist or not. Yeah? It's all in relation to our sense experience. If no sense experience, then we don't know whether things exist or not. Yeah? So when Buddha was actually born, during that time, there were two main beliefs or views. One is called Sāsrutavāde and one is called Uccedavāde. One, they said things exist, and the others say no, don't, nothing exists. They were the two main views that people were having. And Buddha actually said, and he pointed out that in these two views, if you say things don't exist, it's more dangerous than you actually taking things to exist. It's a very dangerous view to take if you think things don't exist. This view will lead to a lot of undesirable consequences. This will make one to not to take any responsibility, not to care, and also will lead to destroy things and even to kill, because no father exists, no mother also exists then. You don't exist here, I can do anything to you. See, you can see the danger in that view. It's a wrong view and it's very dangerous, and Buddha actually highly or heavily criticized this view. He said it's one of the most dangerous views for you all to take or to believe. To believe that things don't exist. So then, what was Buddha talking then? Because some of you I can see thinking that things don't exist. So you have to be very, very careful here. So what was Buddha's teaching? he actually avoided these both extremes. He avoided these two wrong views, and he taught something new. What was it? When Venerable Sariputta, when he was a lay person, just Sariputta, he met this monk called Arahat Assaji. You may have heard Venerable Sariputta's teacher. So he was very calm and composed and radiating in his look, and so pleasant, so serene. So when Sariputta saw this monk, he was actually very inspired and impressed with him. So he asked, "May I ask who is your teacher? And what is he teaching? What is your teacher's teaching?" So then Venerable Assaji said, "Well, I can't teach you what my teacher says. I'm very new to this field. But I can tell you in essence." So he said, "Ye dhamma hetu pabhava tesang hetum tathagato aha. Tesang chayo nirodho etang vadi mahasamano." There is the essence of kind of Dhamma is there. So he said, my teacher is Buddha, and he teaches that if there is any Dhamma or experience that arose depending on causes and conditions, he revealed the causes and the conditions that gave rise to that Dhamma or the experience. Also, he spoke about the nirodha, or the process of ending them, or the cessation of them. So you can understand what Buddha was saying from that small stanza. Things come into be when the necessary causes and conditions are there, and when the necessary causes and conditions change, things cease to be. Do you see he is avoiding both ends, saying exist, don't exist? There's no such static things as to say. There's no permanent things to talk about that things exist or this don't exist. What's there is the activity. When certain things are there, that activity is there. When those causes and conditions that were supporting that, when it's not there, that activity also ceases to be. So this is what Buddha was teaching. It summarizes in some other sutras. Buddha actually teaches hetum paticca sambhutang hetu banga nirujjati. Hetum paticca sambhutang hetu banga nirujjati. What it means is that anything that comes to be due to necessary causes and conditions will cease to be when the necessary causes and conditions cease. Now, do you understand the difference? Yeah? So don't take that view that things don't exist. There's a deeper meaning to it than that. So this was what Buddha was teaching. Things come to be when necessary causes and conditions are there, when they are present, and things cease when the necessary causes and conditions are not there, or when they are not present, or when they have ceased. So you can see how Buddha was avoiding these both views. Things exist and doesn't exist. Take for example this flame. The people who says don't exist, they say that doesn't exist. People say who exists, looking at it, they say it exists. But Buddha didn't buy into both. As long as the necessary causes and conditions are there for the flame to be there, it is there. And when the necessary causes and conditions are not there, even one of them that supports it, it cannot survive. It can't be there. So this is what Buddha was saying. Everything is depending on condition. Nothing is here independently of anything. Everything is dependent on causes and conditions. And several couple of causes and conditions, necessary conditions, has to be there for something to come. So because it's depending on these causes and conditions, it's so unstable. One condition changes, that thing that came out as a result of those causes and conditions, when they were present, also will change and cease. Yeah, you see it here when all the supporting necessary causes and conditions are there for it to be there. The flame is there as a result of having the oil in there, the wick, and the oxygen. You take any one of them out, you will not find a flame. So it's there as a result of all these necessary causes and conditions coming together. Nothing exists by itself. And this is the condition with everything. And nothing comes to be without a cause, and they all depend on necessary causes and conditions to support them, for them to be there. Yeah? And when we talk about the things that's out there, so Buddha even analyzed it as to what's in there. So if you have that sheet that I gave you, on the first one that I printed and gave you, the analyzing of the sense experience, where I have, that's the one. Yeah. That eye is looking at a tree, and when we analyze the object, what's in there? The 6 elements: Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, Akasa and Vijnana. But then when you start to actually find out what are they made of, it boils down to energy. It also boils down to activity. Now, if we are talking about in our kind of a scientific language, when you break this down, what it comes down to is the atoms. And when you split the atom, it's the electrons. You split the electron, you find subparticles. And now the scientists are saying, they don't know whether it's actually particles or even moving, the waves. They're trying to figure that out, the quarks. And pretty much they have come to understand it's all energy. There's nothing static there. It's all activity again in here. In energy in various different speed. So that's that side. But what we see, or how we make our world, is through our sensory experience. So if there's anything real, someone asked Buddha, so it looks like, it's very difficult to understand what's going on, so what is actually real? Then Buddha says Phassa. Phassa is actually happening. Phassa means that sensory experience. That's happening. that activity take place. That's why he spent a lot of time in explaining what is phassa, what is in there. Yes?
I explained this to my brother. He asked me the question, where did energy come from? I could answer him.
Nothing comes from nowhere. It's all the causes and conditions working together.
Yeah,
it's like
boils down to energy. I explained to you, everything boils down to energy.
Energy means it's activities.
Then he says, where did this energy come from? I could answer him.
It doesn't have to come from, it's all there. The energy is here, the movement is here, the activities are taking place. It's not someone out there placed it throughout the evolution. This is how it has been, the activity has been there. It's the activities. Now when you rub your hands, you rub your hand. More. You have to rub more. Do you feel warm? Heat? Is heat energy?
Yes.
Now who created that?
I created it here.
Bringing the proper necessary causes and conditions together, that energy come to be. Energy, this is why even in the science says, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only transforms. So that's how it is. Nothing is created here. It's just the right necessary causes and conditions. When they come to be, certain things come to be. So when we talk about this experience, it's our own sense experience that makes things real to us, make things look real to us, yeah? It brings the data to us from outside. And then I hope by now, with the Dhamma and with the help of what the scientists are saying, you're convinced that you're making your world inside here. This is why, even though Brother Bilitan was so busy, I got him to come and do these presentations, and he was very kind to come and share his knowledge, and he put effort to make the clips and everything very good. So this is why I wanted him to come and show these things to you, so something goes into your head. Nowadays, even if we say, Buddha was the foremost scientist, he was the foremost neuroscientist, he understood everything, he knew everything, he had revealed everything, but I don't think you really notice it. I don't think it really goes into your head. But if we talk in today's language, if someone says something using science, because it's science that they worship today. So if someone says, oh, the scientists are saying this, look, you know what? And they try to show it to you, actually we start to really understand something. You have read these sutras so many times, but watching that, what scientists are saying did have an effect, didn't it? On your view, the way you see things, the way you understand things, it did have effect. Isn't it? Yeah. But Buddha had been saying this all along. So, anyway, never mind. If you can use any science, any art, anything to understand the Dhamma, please do so. There's nothing wrong with that. Even during Buddha's time, there were people just, observing things, even just observing a drop of water getting absorbed to the ground. They got enlightened because they understood what was happening. Just by watching someone, plowing the field, they understood what's going on. So it's okay for us to observe things and then try to understand the Dhamma, if it helps you. So the main thing is now, when we talk about this phassa, so it's something subjective. We are talking about what's going on here, and it's to do with our sensory activity, the sense experience. In the sense experience, what is it boils down to? How is your sense experience is made of? The Panchakanda. It boils down to the Panchakanda, the 5 aggregates or the 5 accumulatives. So this is why when we talk about things that we say, we talk about things that's out there, that we talk about them in relation to our sense experience. Because it's this process that gives you the sense of what's out there. So we'll never be able to actually find what's out there, touch what's out there. But all the time it's something that appears in your mind, that you create. Sankhara is the construction that you keep doing in your mind. But it doesn't mean that there's no objects out there. You have to understand that. Then there's no reason for Buddha to analyze the object. There's no reason for Buddha to talk about 4 elements, 6 elements. So, if we really want to understand about ourselves, the world, what we must try to understand is these 5 aggregates, 5 khandas, 5 cumulatives. I think you know enough about these 5, and I hope that you're convinced that it's an activity. They are not entities, but they are in itself are activities. Yes? Very clear about that? Very clear? Okay.
I think the Sankhara is the most complete, right? It's not the Sankhara. Before you move to Vijnana, before it comes to Rupa, then you can stop the Chitta.
No, they are in itself not culprits. It's your avijja is the problem, not knowing what's happening. Because now you are designed as an organism and you are in the environment, this stimulation, when it's taking place, this will happen. It's not a culprit, it just happens naturally. So it's okay, as long as if you are going to be aware of it, this is not a problem.
If you are aware and stop the Sankhara taking place, then...
Well, you can experience the mind stopping the Sankhara when you are going into this realm of nothingness and all this and that. All those ayatanas.
Even though in first jhana, the Sankharas are taking place,
Of course.
very subtle.
No. Fourth jhana, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana is working. But the thing is, most of your senses are not active. Like you're in a very calm and a quiet place and probably even meditating, closing your eyes. So, you can't say subtle, but we are not providing much additional stimuli for it to stimulate, but still even the mental activity is there. The memory images, this is why even the rapture and the preeti is something that corresponding to that. Because this is how you know about it. Through Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Yeah, this is why even we were calming that down. Only when it comes to those 4 realms, we call ayatanas. Akasanyayatane, Viññānañcāyatane, Akinchānañcāyatane, and then Neva Sanya, Nasanyayatane. That's when this 5 aggregate starts to calm down. So, you all know now this is how your perception is made of, or this is what's the underlying current that's running, and it's an activity. It's not something static or permanent. Are you convinced with that? Convinced? Yes? Okay. And it's a process of constant change. This is a very fast reaction. That you may not have understood, you have to experience it. Because to you, seeing is very constant, yeah? Seeing is very stable and just there, you can't see any breaks in between. But remember I told you at the beginning, it's due to that speed that's creating that illusion. See, our earth, do you know it's rotating in such speed that you feel it doesn't move? Did you notice that? You are on something. It's rotating in such high speed, but you don't feel you're moving. Huh? Or whatever that is creating that illusion, it's the effect of that speed. The same thing with your vijnana. It's actually very fast, so it creates this stable, very nice, perfectly, it's perfect. And this is why you all must meditate to come to the jhanas, actually to see that speed, and to realize what's going on. Then it will become a truth to you. But for now that you know how the movies are made, these cartoons are made, when you run these different separate slides in such a speed, they all looks continuous. The same thing is happening with your Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. One slide comes and the other slides also come to be, they run in such speed. So it all looks continuous. And for that, actually, even Buddha didn't give us speed for that, because at that time I don't think even people knew about the light of speed of light or anything. But anyway, it's even higher than that. So it's very difficult for you all to understand, because there's nothing to measure in that way, that speed in the materialistic way, because we haven't come close to that such speed. So whenever Buddha found that people didn't have the ability to understand something, he didn't kind of go into it or give even figures, because you don't understand. All you have to know is it's happening in such speed, and it's creating that delusion in our mind. So this is why when we talk about things, that we say that there is no permanent things, and what's there is impermanence, because of this activity. When we refer to impermanence, what you're referring to is to this activity that arises and falls, That's what it comes down, boils down to the impermanence. And this level, in the Panchakkhandha level, it comes to be, it falls down, it comes to be, it falls down. So this is why we say there's nothing permanent in this world to be found. Because what you're seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, tasting, and whatever is anyway, it's made inside you, not out there. So this process itself that's creating this world in you is a very fast activity, a speedy process. And this is why we say it's impermanent. It's not a static thing, it's not a permanent thing, it's impermanent. So Buddha actually says, Sabbe Sankhara Anicca. Notice the words. Sabbe means all. Sankhara. All the conditioned things, the constructions, anicca, impermanent. And then he says, Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha. Therefore, that brings suffering. It is suffering. You know when something is impermanent, it's not in your control, it's so insecure. Yeah? Bhante has showed you that what's in between very nicely. It's not in your control, it's so insecure, therefore it's suffering. So Buddha says, Sabbe Sankhara, all these constructions, conditional things, formations are suffering. It will bring suffering. And Buddha says, Sabbe Dhamma Anathati, all experience is impersonal. There's no self. This is how we derive non-self. Yes? Sabbe Sankhara Anicca, Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha, Sabbe Dhamma Anattati. So all this experience is going on without a static thing. No self. It's all impersonal things. And then Buddha says, Yada Panyaya Passati. This is to be seen with wisdom. Because you can't just see it out there. Yada Panyaya Passati. You have to cognize this with your wisdom. This is to be comprehended by your wisdom. And Buddha actually says, the wise people, that's what they try to do. They actually try to understand this. They try to see this. This is why we are bringing wisdom. This is why we are, walking on the Noble Eightfold Path. Sila, Samadhi, Prajna. Sila leading to Samadhi, the tranquility of mind then leading to bring up the wisdom. To see this, Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. This is what this everything comes and boils down to. Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. Do you all understand? No. I'll read you a sutta now. This is what I just wanted to share with you. But there are a couple of suttas how Buddha is saying this very clearly in Majjhima Nikaya. Now I will read it to you. So before that, let me recap on this before I go to the sutta. Now, do you all agree that you created the concept of I, me and myself based on your sense activities, and because your senses are placed on all over your body, you actually identified and you call I, me, myself to your body. Do you agree that? Is it very clear? Is it clear? Any doubt? Is it clear? Yes?
Yeah, I think it's quite clear.
It's quite clear. Is it clear? Anyone? Because you have to follow this rationally. Yes? Yes.
With respect to the self, whether the you I existed and dreams, I think it's a different question from which actually the objective world outside exists, right?
Yes. That's right. Thank you for clarifying it. And anyway, so this side now we are trying to work out. It's made up in the mind and how it's made up and all that. So that side also Buddha is pointing out it's made of this Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Dhatu, Patavi and Akasa and Vijnana. And then at the end that also actually boils down to activities. even though they look static and this and that, at the end they are also just energy and activity.
And if we see the world doesn't exist, or the worldly activity certainly
Sorry, didn't hear what you were saying. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Now what I mean is this, if we see the world as a form,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't exist, but the world as an activity certainly exists. And people can see that. And my view of the worldly activity is not far from different from any other person.
But the problem is now, now why we are so focused on this and we talk about these things is, to us it was real. You actually thought you were holding this, you were doing this, you were seeing this, and you were so engaged with them. This is why we keep talking so much about it. But when it comes to the understanding that actually that world that you thought that was out there is actually in your own mind, then it becomes that we solving our own problem, because we have created that world in our own mind. So our focus has to go in there, because we created in there, and all there is images, and process of this activity is going on. So our focus has to boil down to that. Yeah? Because that's what you have taken as a reality. So we need to break down and see what is our reality, what we thought is the real.
In relation to time, the time business, actually, we just look those famous people also, they are no more.
What's there is change. So you all need to understand that like brother said, it's a separate issue. So don't get confused.
I think we should not get confused.
Huh?
But they say it's the perspective of the world that we look. Like on a glass of water, half filled. It's whether we say half filled glass or half empty. It's factor.
Because a lot of people who really don't understand what Buddha said, they can say don't exist, things don't exist. And there were people at Buddha's time who said that, and Buddha highly criticized them, saying it's such a dangerous view to hold on to. Yeah? Now what he's talking is what's happening here, in your world, in here, inside.
But they always say that the supply echo outside from the harmonious perspective. We have to place ourselves at the right perspective before we
Start this journey, that's right.
If you're looking at the worldly perspective, then you will never able to start
This path. Yes. That's right, thank you. So okay, so can we proceed further? No doubts? Everything is clear, because this is building up from a logical argument and it has to come from within you. Then more you contemplate, actually you will start to understand that's how it is. Yeah? Okay. So you know it's to do with your body that you created this concept of me, myself, I, and everything is actually in relation to your body. Because if someone is dead, their senses are no longer working. So there's no one in there to say this is me, myself, and I, don't touch me, don't bury me, don't burn me. Yeah, that's gone. There's no one to protect it. So what happens, it naturally decomposes back to its own natural 4 elements. Yeah? So you can see it very clearly? Can. Okay. So then we can go to the sutta. I wanted to teach this morning, that's why I didn't want you all to get get disturbed, so you have a calm mind to understand this. You do have to have a calm mind to understand deeper things. Then only you will understand. So, Buddha teaches the 6 sets of 6. The 6 internal bases should be understood. In reference to your eye base, ear base, nose base, your tongue base, your body base, and your mind base. This is how we take 6. So Buddha actually says that you must understand first. Now you know. I have given you all that information you should know by now. And then the 6 external bases should be understood. To the eye, the rupa. To the ear, the sound. To the nose, it's the smells, gandha. To your tongue, it's a rasa, the taste. To your body, it's the tactile objects or the sensations that comes. To your mind, the mind experience, dhamma. Yeah? So those things should be understood. You know all of them also, they are also activities. Clear? The 6 classes of contact should be understood. It's the contact, means the phassa, to do with the eye, to do with the ear, to do with your nose, to do with your tongue, to do with your body, to do with your mind. Yeah? And 6 classes of feeling should be understood. Because again, it's through these 6 different senses, 6 types of feelings is coming. Even though feeling is divided only into 3 in that category, but you get it through 6. And there are 6 different feelings. And they can be either unpleasant, pleasant or neutral. And the 6 classes of craving should be understood. Because craving also different to each class. Yeah? So then actually Buddha goes into the explanation. The 6 internal bases should be understood. So it was said, and with the reference to what was this said, there are the eye base, the ear base, the nose base, the tongue base, the body base, and the mind base. So it was with reference to this that it was said. The 6 internal bases should be understood. This is the first set of 6. The 6 external bases should be understood. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said. There are the form base, the sound base, the odor base, the flavor base, the tangible base, and the mind object base. So it was with reference to this that it was said. The 6 external bases should be understood. This is the second set of 6. 6 classes of consciousness should be understood. So depending on the eye and the forms, eye consciousness arises. Depending on the ear and the sounds, ear consciousness arises. Depending on the nose and the odors, nose consciousness arises. Depending on the tongue and the flavors, tongue consciousness arises. Depending on the body and tangibles, body consciousness arises. Depending on the mind and the mind objects, mind consciousness arises. So it was with this reference that it was said, the 6 classes of consciousness should be understood. The 6 classes of contact should be understood. Contact is phassa. Here the phassa has been sense experience, being translated as contact. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said? Depending on the eye and forms, eye consciousness arises. The meeting of the 3 is contact, phassa. I have shown you these 3 things, the subject and the middle part and the object. Dependent on the ear and the sounds, ear consciousness arises. The meeting of the 3 is called contact. Buddha says it in Pali, I'll use I, for example, chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku vijnana tinnang sangati passo. So this is these three as together you call it passa. I still see a frown in your face, that's why I went into.
I'm quite very confused because the terms used is quite different from what we are used to.
Here normally this is the problem with problem with the translations. So what Buddha is saying here, chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku vijnana. So they are saying dependent on the eye, the chakkuncha, paticca rupecha. Rupa means the form. They are calling the image, the rupa, as the forms. Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku vijnana. Eye consciousness arises. Chakku vijnana is eye consciousness. But the word we use is eye perception. Bhante used the word perception, and that's more accurate and correct. So here they are talking about eye perception, ear perception, like that you have to understand when I read the word consciousness. Then the meeting of these three is called the contact, means the passa, the sense experience. Yeah? That's understood? Okay. So this is how your sense experience come to be. So he goes on to explain to all six. And then the 6 classes of feeling should be understood. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said, dependent on the eye and the forms means rupa, eye consciousness arises, that means eye perception according to Bhante's teachings. The meeting of the three is contact passa, the sense experience. With passa, sense experience, as condition, there is feeling. Vedana. Feeling here is a Vedana. So again, Buddha goes on to explain in relation to all the 6. The 6 classes of craving should be understood. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said, dependent on the eye and the forms, eye consciousness arises, the meeting of the three is contact. With contact as condition there is feeling, with feeling as condition there is craving. Vedana paccaya tanha. So there is tanha arising through your eye consciousness when it's coming through this eye sense experience, the ear, like that with all 6 doors. Now, Buddha goes on to say, if anyone says the I is self, normally you say it's my eye is paining, or there's aches in my eye, I can't hear, my ear is deaf. Normally you personalize and call that way, yeah? So Buddha is saying, if anyone says the I is self, that is not tenable. The rise and fall of the I are discerned, and since it rise and fall are discerned, it would follow myself rises and falls. That is why it is not tenable for anyone to say the I is self. Thus the I is not self. Can you understand that? You saw what is in the eye. Eye also an activity. Activities rise and fall. So Buddha is saying, if someone to say I is myself, or this is my eye, or I is myself, because it's in your body, this is my body. So if it's your body, then I is also your eye. So if someone is to say that, then it's like you're saying myself rises and falls. Yeah? See how wise is the Buddha to show this step by step. And then he goes on to say, if anyone says forms or the rupa, that images are self, that is why then again that is not tenable. The rise and fall of the rupa are discerned, and since it is rise and fall are discerned, it would follow that they have put ... so I have to go back to the other verse to bring the proper part from that sentence to this one. If anyone says the rupa or the forms are self, and then we have to go, that is not tenable, the rise and fall of the rupa are discerned, you know that, in the Panchakhanda, yeah? They come and fall. And since its rise and fall are discerned, it would follow that myself rise and falls. That is why it is not tenable for anyone to say forms are myself, or the rupa, the images are self. Thus the I is not self, also the forms are not self. So I is not yourself, what's seen by the eye is also not self. If anyone says I consciousness is self, the chakku vijnana or the seeing, that process is yourself. Normally even that you personalize. I see, I hear, I heard a nice song, I saw a nice movie. So even the seeing normally you personalize. Am I right? When we talk, it's in there, the katru, or what we call that, the person who is doing it is already in there. So Buddha says that is not tenable. The rise and fall of the I consciousness are discerned. You understand that, yeah? Chakku vijnana is not a static thing. And since its rise and fall are discerned, it would follow that myself rise and falls. That is why it is not tenable for anyone to say I consciousness, chakku vijnana, or the I perception is self. Thus the I is not self, the rupa, the forms are not self, the I perception is not self. Understand that bit up to now? If anyone says I contact is self, the passa, the I with the eye, the sense experience of that is self. That is not tenable. The rise and fall of the sense experience comes through the eye are discerned, and since it rise and fall are discerned, it would follow myself rise and falls. Yeah? So that is why it is not tenable for anyone to say the eye contact, the passa or the sense experience, the eye sense experience is self. Thus, I is not self, forms are not self, I conscious is not self, I contact is not self. Understand? If anyone says Vedana, feeling, is self, again, I won't go into all these things, but it's not tenable for anyone to say feeling is self, because that is also something that rises and falls. And if you are to say that's yourself, that means yourself is rising and falling. So the same way, if anyone says craving or the tanha is self, that is also not tenable to say, because it is again rise and falls. If you are to say that, that means yourself is rising and falling. So that is why it's not tenable for anyone to say craving is self. So thus the I is not self, the forms are not self, I consciousness, I perception is not self, I contact, passa, the sense experience is not self, feeling, vedana is not self, craving, tanha is not self. So then Buddha talks about all the 6 sense doors here. After he takes the ear and like that, he talks all of them. And then he comes to this point. This is a very important point. Now you understood that you can't call this yourself. And why? You all understood? Because you have to follow this logical order. Now the Buddha is trying to show the origin of identity. Now bhikkhus, this is the way leading to the origination of identity. One regards the I thus, this is mine, this is I am, this is myself. One regards forms thus, this is mine, this I am, this is myself. One regards the I perception or the consciousness thus, this is mine, this I am, this is myself. One regards I contact thus, the phassa or the I sense experience thus, this is mine, this is I am, this is myself. One regards feeling, vedana thus, this is mine, this I am, this is myself. And one regards craving thus, this is mine, this I am, this is myself. And one regards the ear thus, and he goes on to explain to all the sense doors. And so Buddha says, this is how this identity of me, myself, I, me and myself have come to be, by personalizing or identifying with these six senses. The cessation of the identity. So Buddha is pointing out now how this identity comes to a cessation. Now bhikkhus, this is the way leading to the cessation of identity. One regards the I thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. One regards forms thus, one regards the I consciousness as thus, one regards I contact as thus, one regards feeling thus, one regards craving thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. So you contemplate like that to all the six organs. This is how you actually depersonalize, or how the identity will come to a cease. Yeah? Now, I want to take your attention to this sutta. What Buddha advised to Rahula, and it's after listening to this discourse that Rahula got enlightened. So you can see the importance of this sutta, importance of understanding this. It is where it's in this point that the realization really comes. So I won't read the whole sutta. So what Buddha does, Buddha kind of sees that Venerable Rahula's mind is now mature. So he sees the opportunity to teach him this. When Buddha was meditating, a thought arose in his mind. The state that ripened in deliverance have ripened in Rahula. Suppose I were to lead him on further to the destruction of the taints. So then he actually, when it was the morning, the Blessed One dressed and taking his ball and outer robe went into Savatthi for alms. When he had walked for alms in Savatthi and had returned from his alms round, after his meal he addressed the Venerable Rahula. See, he waited for all this time until Venerable Rahula's mind was mature enough to penetrate into the sea. It takes time, and you have to keep on practicing to do that. And then Buddha says, take your sitting cloth with you, Rahula. Let us go to the blind men's grove to pass the day. Yes, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Rahula replied. And taking his sitting cloth with him, he followed close behind the Blessed One. Now, on that occasion, many thousands of deities followed the Blessed One, thinking, today the Blessed One will lead the Venerable Rahula further to the destruction of the taints. Then the Blessed One went into the blind men's grove and sat down at the root of a certain tree on a seat made ready. And the Venerable Rahula paid homage to the Blessed One and sat down at one side. The Blessed One then said to the Venerable Rahula, Rahula, what do you think? Now you think as Buddha is talking to you all, and you answer it from within you. Rahula, what do you think? Is the I permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Yeah, you all have to go through now within you with the understanding. Is what is impermanent, is it suffering or happiness? It is suffering because it's not under your control, it's so insecure. It is suffering. So Rahula says, suffering, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded this. This is mine, this I am, this is myself. No, Venerable Sir. Rahula, what do you think? Our forms, this rupa, is it permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Brings happiness. It's suffering. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change fit to be regarded this is mine, this is I am, this is myself? No. Okay. Is I consciousness, your I perception, is it permanent or impermanent? I need to hear you all. It's impermanent, okay. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change fit to be regarded this is mine, this I am, this is myself? Okay. Is eye contact or the passa, the eye sense experience, is it permanent or impermanent? Is what impermanent brings suffering or happiness? So is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change fit to be regarded this is mine, this I am, this is myself? Okay. Is anything comprised within the feeling? This Vedana, Sanya, the sensations, Sankhara, your constructions, and Vijnana, the perception that arise with passa, with your sense experience, as condition permanent or impermanent? Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change fit to be regarded this is mine, this is I am, this is myself? Then why are you doing it then?
Punish yourself. Punish yourself.
It happens unconsciously. Okay, so you all must now be conscious of what you're doing then. The mistake you're doing, for the mistake that you're doing, you're paying a high price. You're suffering for that mistake. Yeah? So then Buddha goes on with all the 6 senses. Rahula, what do you think? Is the ear permanent or impermanent? Is the nose permanent or impermanent? Is the tongue permanent or impermanent? Is the body permanent or impermanent? Is the mind permanent or impermanent? The mind objects, are they impermanent or permanent? Mind objects means here the Dhamma, the experience. Is Manovinyana, the mind consciousness, the perception that arising in the mind, is that permanent or impermanent? Is a sense experience that happening in your mind, in the mano, is it permanent or impermanent? Is anything comprised within the feeling, the Vedana, the Sanya, the Sankhara and the Vijnana that arise with the mind contact or the mind, the passa or the experience, the mind experience as conditioned, permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. No, Venerable Sir. Seeing thus, Rahula, a well-taught noble disciple becomes disenchanted with the I, disenchanted with the forms, feelings, disenchanted with the I consciousness, I perception, the chakra vijnana, then disenchanted with eye contact means I passa, or the sense experience coming through the eyes, and disenchanted with anything comprised within the feeling, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, that arise with eye contact as condition. He becomes disenchanted with the ear, he becomes disenchanted with the nose, he becomes disenchanted with the tongue, he becomes disenchanted with the body, he becomes disenchanted with the mind, disenchanted with the mind objects, that means the Dhamma, the Mano and the Dhamma, disenchanted with Mano Vijnana, the mind consciousness here, the mind perception, and disenchanted with mind contact, the Passa, the mind experience, and disenchanted with anything comprised within the feeling, Sanya, the Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vijnana, that arise with the mind contact as condition. This is what the Blessed One said. The Venerable Rahula was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. Now, while this discourse was being spoken, through not clinging, the Venerable Rahula's mind was liberated from the taints. So he really understood when Buddha was talking each step by step, the wisdom arose in him. And in those many thousands of deities, they arose, and spotless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma, all that is subject to arising is subject to cessation.
Repeat the last line one more time.
Venerable Sister, I have one question. Buddha talking to Venerable Rahula on this. So isn't that this is just a theory to Venerable Rahula? Rahula had to experience it before he can really get enlightenment.
Yeah, so Rahula must have had the a very tranquil mind. He may have been practicing, on the Noble Eightfold Path and have practiced the Satipatthana, and now his mind is pretty much tranquil. So this is why Buddha says, for you to realize the Dhamma, you must hear the Dhamma. That's one condition. Or either you have to know it from beforehand for you to contemplate it on your own, or while hearing also you can get enlightened. Because your mind is steady and you follow. When someone is teaching the Dhamma, you follow it one by one, it makes sense to you. The deep understanding comes and you free yourself from all these views. Yes?
What disenchantment is like?
Yeah, you disenchanted. Enchanted is you like it, you're there, you just enticed with that. Disenchant, you just repelled. Huh? You are unhappy with that. Is there?
Is there any emotion there?
No. This is disenchant means it's not emotion. It's coming from seeing what it is, realizing your mistake. Rationally, you're really, stepping out, not emotion, no.
ask something.
Yes.
You say mind or whatever is impermanent. What about those people who are reincarnated? They can remember those things before. So where does that knowledge come from?
No, that's through the association. Anyway, this is my interpretation that like you have heard, yeah, Bhante also saying there's no storage in the mind. It's all through the chemicals that this is all working. So, when you are born, you are actually born into a place that matches your previous, whatever that you've been doing, whatever you've been thinking, whatever you've been practicing, matches to the place that you are going to be born. And this is my personal view, so don't believe me. You can do your own thinking. I do think the DNA or your genes has also got to do something with this. Now the scientists are mapping even your thought to do a crime is in the genes. So there you go.
I've gone to the net and I saw this experiment being done in Australia. The people are Australian, but then they recollect and they go. They were in Germany in the Second World War.
That's true. You can get it through the genes again. It's the chemicals that's doing it.
Maybe the mind is something out there.
No. If Buddha was there, he would have got a stick. Now, there is one problem, that is, now you all have to actually start packing. I didn't want to disturb you all until I teach this to you all. So something sinks into your mind. So now slowly you can, because the normal people don't understand the importance of having a peaceful mind to listen to a deeper discourse. You need that. So this is why I didn't want to disturb you all. By 11:30, the workers will come to kind of arrange the rooms. Apparently there's something going on at 2 o'clock and they need the classrooms. All you have to do first, clear out the room that you were hanging your clothes. So take everything there from there so the workers can start working on that room. Then all you have to do, pack your own things before you come down for lunch and leave them at the back of this hall. You don't need to do, if you don't have time, you don't have to pull the bed sheets or take out the pillowcases. But if you have time, you can pull it out, fold it and leave it on your bed. The workers will take. If you don't have, don't worry, you focus on packing your own things, and I guess it's only very little things, yeah, few things. So slowly, no rush, slowly, you maintain your calm and peaceful state of mind until the lunchtime, even after, so we can discuss this, you can contemplate this. But unfortunately these things happen and we try to handle it in a minimum disturbance way. So as any other activity, you're eating, you're walking, like that, you slowly, don't rush and run around like rats, then it will upset the others also. You take time, you do it slowly. First clear out that first room, then the workers should be happy working on that room, and it will give them some work to do, room to do. You focus slowly, you get your things packed, bring it here and leave it here. Then you come down slowly, the same way you were doing before, mindfully downstairs to have dana, and then we have dana there. And after the dana, you can come up and take your bags, and afternoon session we have to do at the PH Henry Hall. Because they need this part as well. But you don't need to rush, they only start it at 2 o'clock here. As long as, normally you finish your lunch about 12:31, no? Around 1 o'clock. So you take your things before, maybe around 1. You pick them up and come to PH Henry Hall, and I'll see you there around 1 or 2. What time suits you? I booked that place from 2 to 4. Huh? You want to meet at what? 2 o'clock is enough, no? So you all have to do is come and pick up your things and then come to PH Henry Hall. And you maintain your calm state of mind and whatever not. And that time after lunch you can talk, but no, softly and gently and slowly. Don't pick up the speed. Be mindful. And I'll see you down there at 2 o'clock. So now you all can go and start slowly packing. No rush. So we will discuss any questions afterwards. Yes. Okay. Okay. Sukhi hotu. Sukhi hotu. Sukhi hotu. So you can start contemplating on what you heard now while you're doing your work. Not all yet. Okay. May you all be well and happy. Okay, you all can go and start your vacuum.